Hi friends, I'm Nicholas Acciani. Let's talk backstage. In this video, I want to go over some basic symbols that we use in Groundplans. The first one that we're going to look at are the symbols for walls. A wall is just a straight line, and then you want to put the depth into it. So if you have an exterior wall that has some depth to it that's not 3 inches thick like a flat is, you're going to put 2 lines measuring the depth of it, and in between each line, we're going to do what we call hatch marks, which are just slashes. Now these hatch marks all have to go in the same direction, and they need to be parallel with each other. So what happens when you have a flat and it's only 3 inches thick, and you're drafting in 1/8 inch scale or 1/4 inch scale? It's not really thick enough to be able to put hatches in there. Your flats are just one solid thick line. Now, when you're drafting on a computer, you are going to put that depth in there because the computer can be that accurate. But when we're getting that small, just put a line. So now what happens when we have soft goods? So any curtains coming down, a cyc, anything like that, the symbol for that is literally just a squiggle right where you want it. The thing about this symbol is it needs to be consistent. The waves have to be consistent in terms of width and in height, going all the way across. The thing about the symbol too is you are not changing it depending on if it is open or closed. So the waves don't get narrower if it's an open, squished together curtain. You're not necessarily showing that, you're just showing there's a curtain there. The same thing if it is a cyc and it's pulled taut, it's still going to be that wavy line because it is a soft good. It is representing that. It's not showing the actual exact thing. We have our walls, we have our curtains, now we need to get through the walls. So let's put in an archway. Whenever you are showing that there is an empty space underneath a full space, you want to do it like X-ray vision. So you are going to put a dotted line as a break in the flat wall where your archway is. But you also need to show the depth of that door. So this, where we just drew a line for the flat, here we're going to actually draw the depth, that 3 inches, maybe it is 6 inches, because you're putting that reveal on the archway. So you're going to put the actual depth and then a second dotted line connecting those. So you're basically making a rectangle where the 2 long ends, the part that you're walking through of the archway, are dotted lines. What about doors? Doors are pretty simple because they're just an archway with a door in it. Now, the thing about the door symbol is that you are showing the door in its open position and its closed position. So you basically have an L, putting the closed position wherever inside that door frame it's going to be. Now in its open position, a door just literally hinges open. Notice that you're going to measure from the hinge point. You're not measuring from the corners of the walls. And then that's going to go straight up. So the width of it in the closed position needs to match the width in the open position. And then we do this nice curve. You can use a protractor, you can use a compass. For this one that I'm showing you, I actually used a mug, and this just shows how the door opens, and it's a dotted line with a little arrow at the end. And we use this because we don't want to put anything in the way to hinder the door opening and closing. So it's a visual representation of a no-fly zone for set pieces. Now, a window is very similar to the door, except you're not walking through it. It is a solid piece, so you don't have any dotted lines there. If you have a window that's just one sheet of glass, it's just going to be a rectangle. Notice now I have these little baby rectangles inside of the big rectangle. These are the muttons, or if you look at a window, those vertical lines going up and down that are in between, separating each pane of glass, and that's what this represents. That is the symbol for a window. And they need to be accurate to what it actually is going to be. So if you have like 8 muttons going across, your symbol is going to have 8 lines. Now, a platform. Platforms are super easy. It's a rectangle, but because the edges are so similar to what a flat is, and you don't want someone to mistake that for a cubed in room, you're going to put an X in the middle. And then in one of the corners, you are going to put how high it is from the stage floor in inches inside of a little bubble. Its own little circle. This is important on a ground plan to know because it tells you how high it's going to be. Then we get to stairs. Stairs are basically just a bunch of mini platforms next to each other. You are drawing out each individual step going up. Now you need to let people know how high each step is from the stage floor, but you don't need to put it on every single step. If the rise or how tall that step is the same for each step, on the bottom step you need to put how high that is from the stage floor, and then the top step, how high that one is from the stage floor. And then to show which way is going up, right in the middle of the stairs, you're going to draw a straight line with a little arrow pointing which direction is up. And the thing you want to notice is that the arrow goes the full length of the stairs because it is hitting every single step. If for some reason your stairs are not the same rise, so one is 8 inches, one is 6, one is 5, then you go up 4, 10, then 3, then 5. You will have to put the height of every single step. And each step is not the height from each other, so that you have an 8 inch and then you have a 4 inch one. That second step is not going to be 4 inches. That second step is going to be 12 inches because it's how high it is from the stage floor, not from the step before it. And then a ramp is super easy. You draw it just like a platform, But like the stairs, because one end is higher than the other, you're going to put that arrow straight up the center that goes the full length of the ramp, pointing which way is going up, and you're going to put the starting height, which is normally 0, right? Unless you are starting it from one platform to the next. You're going to put the starting height and the ending height. So those are some basic drafting symbols. This is most of what you're going to need in theater when you're drafting a ground plan. Now, other things come up all the time. The platforms and the stairs, they don't actually have to be squared out. They can be whatever you decide them to be. Just you have to adapt that symbol for that new shape. And if you can't figure it out, if you just think about what it would look like from a bird looking down on top of that and draw it that way, chances are you're going to be right. And if you're still not sure, if you just put a little note saying, this is what this is, then that kind of helps excuse not having the right symbol. That's all I have for drafting standards and your basic symbols for ground plans. I hope you learned something. And if you do it slightly differently, if you have different symbols in your country, or if there are symbols that you have that you think are important that I didn't include in this, then I would love to hear about that in the comments. And I will see you next time. Bye, friends. These videos are made for educational purposes. Hopefully you learned something or it reinforced something you may already know. Now, this is just one way to do this, and there may be other ways to do what I've explained in this video, and I would love to hear about those ways in the comments. Just remember to be kind as you share your own experiences and expertise on the subject. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, like, and subscribe, and hit that little bell button to be notified of the next video.